Oh, okay. Yeah. I think we live.
Welcome to Bears Banner Wildcard Weekend. Chicago Bears fall to the New Orleans Saints 21-9.
Wow.
Wow, that was a stinker there. That was I
That is
mean, yeah. I want my time back.
On, on both teams, that game sucked. That game was
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah. Because if you look at this game, the game was 3-7 at halftime, and it didn't open up until well, really both teams didn't score that much, but the Saints did control most of that game. And I know personally, I felt that 7-3 was enough for them to win that game. It felt like they were down more than 7-3. It felt like they was down 30-3 at that point.
I
Yeah, that
think
was bad.
the Bears should have beat the Saints truly, but they didn't want no bars to Green Bay. So I think we cowered it out of the whole game.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? I guess I got so disappointed about the game, I forgot to introduce everybody tonight. Today on Bears Banner is myself, Bernard Muhammad, Keith Flournoy, Guy Moore, Jay Beasley, Tammy Harris, and Mike Alton.
That'd be me.
All right. Look like Guy, he's still cruising, trying to get back home.
Yeah.
I'm a very respectful.
Okay.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Driving. Hey, did anybody get anything out of this game tonight? I mean, I personally didn't get anything out of this game. What I did get, I shouldn't say that. I did get some out this game. What I did get out this game, to be honest, is the Bears finished 8-8 last year. They finished 8-8 again this year. The only difference is 8-8 this year ended up being a playoff only because the league extended additional team. But if you look at on the AFC side, that 7th seed was the Indianapolis Colts. They really wanted that extending that seed would be for teams like that because that team would have not made the playoff having an 11-5 record. So it was, yeah. So but that still was end up being a 3-point game because that was like a team that looked like they deserved to be there. The Bears played like a team that looked like they deserved to be there, in my opinion. And I mean, much of the problems that you saw throughout the season, you saw tonight. A team inability to score on offense, and as the game goes on, you do nothing in the third quarter, and you're scared to take chances. And then as the game wore on, because your offense can't do anything, the defense breaks down. But the Bears tackling is horrible. For me, Pagano, it's time to go. It's time to go. If they don't make any other changes, Pagano at least got to go. Well, what do y'all think about that? I mean, what you got to say, Mike? Because you're ready to.
Yeah, because I did a little bit of research on this, and it may not even be Pagano. What I looked at, have you guys really taken a look at the Bears roster? It's a who's who of busters on there. When you really look at, I looked at the Bears roster, and I have 17 players who are at odds of either being here next year or not being here next year. You look at we got about, you look at Akeem Hicks, 31 years old, Robert Quinn, 30 years old, Jimmy Graham, 34 years old, Nick Foles, 31 years old, John Jenkins, 30 years old, McManus is 33 years old, Mingo was 30 years old, Danny Trevathan is 30 years old. We got guys, we talked about, we didn't even get into the drop touchdown pass, but Williams was a 7th round draft pick. We going into war with BB guns. That's basically what it is. And when you look at this roster, Duke Shelley, who we got trying to stick Devontae Adams, 6th round draft pick. We're not averaging out. It's not even even. It's not even. So, we got another guy I saw in the game today, Brent Urban, 4th round draft pick. Khalil Mack is 29, basically 30 years old. We're old, and we just don't have the weapons. That's all I got to say.
Wait a minute. Now, I was boycotting football for 3 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they say that the Bears defense was number one last
Not last year.
Not yet, 2018.
When everybody was in their 20s.
year? Whatever. They did not go completely downhill that fast. Coaching makes a difference, and I'm sorry, somebody needs to go talk to Vic and say, I know you are a head coach, but I think you can do more good and a better job coming back. He loves Chicago, and I need somebody to go get Mike and put some heart in this defense. I don't think the defense is washed up. I don't think they were.
Hey
All I'm
Tammy,
gonna
I think
Go ahead.
Vic is gonna be fired because
Yeah, Denver didn't have a great year.
yeah, he's gonna be fired because I believe John Elway stepped aside as far as the general manager. So new general manager is going to take over that role, and I think the first thing going to do is he's going to fire Fangio because Fangio has actually did nothing. I think if you add up the years he's been there, I don't think it adds up to 20 wins. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the record.
Yeah,
But
he's
he
been
was
there 2
a
years.
good defensive coach for us. So put him back there and go get Iron Mike and put some heart in his defense.
Okay.
Hey,
He
let
said
me
put
tell y'all something.
Iron Mike to come home.
Let me tell y'all something. The Bears played with no heart today. No heart, no desire.
Yeah.
You know, my high school football coach is a lack of pride, and that's what it was today. You know, I watched Eddie Jackson make some business decisions
Oh my
today
God.
where he was. How are you paid as a safety and you don't make tackles? Eddie Jackson didn't make tackles today. Our defense didn't stand up today. We got a lot of lack of desire. Y'all laughing at me because y'all know I don't have much to say. I don't have much to say.
I don't
I
know.
don't have much to say. I don't
Trade,
know. You know
trade
exactly right.
Eddie Jackson. Trade Eddie Jackson for a value meal.
Okay, here's the time.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I
Eddie
don't
Jackson for a
know.
value meal.
What
Don't
you
put
got,
no
guys?
cheese on it.
What you got, guy?
This must be a sign, man, because I didn't want to drive and talk, and I'm sitting in a parking lot on 167th in an undisclosed location, but edifice, which is the edifice of a company, and you want to know what the company's name is? Chicago's Chicken Coop. That's how we play like some chickens, dude. I don't care how much talent you got, man. I don't care what round you were drafted in. I don't care what age you are. Make some damn plays. I'm looking up at these dudes, and I saw more arm tackles than I saw in a sexual harassment football bowl, guys versus girls. I mean, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm just shaking my head. I'm like, this isn't who we are. I mean, you would think the guys would stand up and say, you know what, I ain't going out like that.
Right.
Anytime Alex Barr gets scripted for you, and you can't stop it, it's time to make a decision. Like, Quick was saying, maybe we do need to go younger. But I tell you what, if I'm the coach, everybody on the defense, I don't care if you all pro or not, you out there, your job is up. You need to win your job in spring training.
Okay.
Okay, well, when you think about it from a defensive perspective, the heart of the defense is only 23 years old. We're talking about Roquan Smith, so that kind of bodes well. We are going to have to get younger pretty quick, and more than that, we're going to have some players that actually care and got some investor and intestinal fortitude. That was abysmal. That was ridiculous. People were making business decisions. As far as Pagano's defensive scheme, a lot of times they would end up getting catches like 4 or 5 yards short, and then they just run for 5 or 6 yards in order to get the first down. So that just can't happen in a playoff team. It can't happen in a professional team. You letting people, it's 3rd and 17, you let them gain 25 yards. I was appalled. I was tired of watching the game after the first flea flicker, and you know what? I need to just scale back from the Bears and do something else just for a mental health standpoint. What you
Because
got,
that was a
Bernard?
game changer. Because
Yeah,
that was a game changer. That was a game changer. Had Williams caught that pass, that was a game changer.
that's
That
what
was a
Williams is
game
there for.
changer. But
Yeah,
as when you when you are the Bears, you have to make those plays because you don't get a second chance. You don't get a second chance. And when those plays are out there for you to make, you have to make those plays because you don't get a second chance. You don't get a second chance. And again, like I said, I'm not appalled. I'm not appalled, but I swear, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I can
J-Day.
watch the rest of
Hey,
I can
man,
watch
listen, when you come
y'all
down,
know
there's
me.
a saying that says big time players make big time plays in big
Big
time games.
time.
Yep.
We
Yep.
don't have big
Yep.
time players.
Yep.
That's what I'm
Yep.
trying to tell you guys.
Absolutely, Mike.
Jamal Williams
Absolutely,
is
Mike.
not a big time player. So
Absolutely.
when you're put in the
Absolutely.
position to make a big play and you're not that guy, then you're not going to make that play.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what
You're
I'm saying.
absolutely right.
As far as
You're
with the
absolutely
defense,
right.
the core of the defense, you're talking about when you play football, that takes a toll on your body. And the older you get, the less likely your skill set is going to be. You cannot expect a 30-some-year-old guy to be running around with a 23-year-old. That's just like some of y'all been chasing these 23-year-old women before. You can't never catch them.
I ain't never chased no 23-year-old woman.
Well, maybe you need to start. Maybe you need to start. That'll spice this show up a little bit more.
But okay, Mike. I'm just saying.
I watched that one for $1. No, go ahead.
I'm just saying for Williams to not make that catch. That and it's one of those things where they pulled a play at the bag. That was like a double reverse handoff, double reverse. And for you not to make that play, Williams,
It happens though, because I was talking to Nutty last night. I said, Nutty, if I was Brady, I would never throw Godwin the ball again, because they had major drops yesterday. And I said, Nutty, he hitting them in a bad spot, right in the middle of his hands.
I tell you what, the Wims and Miller, both of them, they have no awareness of where they are. They both let themselves get goaded into getting thrown out of games. And when you talk about thrown out of a playoff game, you're already down receivers. That made no sense from Miller's standpoint. I don't know that he's going to actually be with the Bears next year.
Hey,
I hope he's not.
Hey, Plank, that's a great point you just made, Plank. That game really turned when Williams dropped that ball. But from a coaching perspective, I don't understand why was that play even designed to go to Williams, to be honest.
That's a good call.
Because he was open.
You know why he was open? Because he can't catch.
I know
He
he's
always gonna be open.
but just like Mike said, he's not a playmaker, and you want him to make a play in a situation that he hasn't proved. He's the same guy that got thrown out in the last Saints game for punching somebody.
I was
But
going.
he was open. But
Yeah,
he was open.
I know
Mike.
he was open, but
He was open.
being
He was
open
open,
doesn't mean you're gonna make that play. We see people make. I mean, look at like Mike mentioned the game last night. You're seeing guys who drop balls, but it was nothing in that play design other than he got open that Williams was gonna make that play. So to me, that game plan, I know that would have probably went to Mooney, but to me, your man is Allen Robinson. This game should have been schemed for Allen Robinson. You didn't even see him look like he was involved in the game plan. I know they're trying to take him out, but you know what? You got to make some plays. You got to force something. You got to design stuff to get to him. And also, I thought early in that game, after that play happened, they should have took the field goal because that game was only, if I remember correctly, that game was 7-0 at that point.
Yeah.
You should have took
I told y'all that.
Yeah, you should have took the 3. Yeah, and what you did,
I told y'all that.
you let that momentum die, and then you compounded it by panicking and not get no points out of it, where you could have because if you looked at it, you would have had 3. Then you ended up picking 3 later. That game would have actually been 7-6 going
And
into
that's the sad.
You know what, Bernard? That
And you know what?
reminds me of back in the day when the old Lakers with Jerry West, the logo for the NBA. He used to be on the team, and they would always guard him at the end of the game. And Pat Riley would be left open, and he'd say, "I took the shot because I was open." And Jerry West would stop and say, "Why do you think you were open? They know you weren't. They know you wasn't no threat." That's exactly what Williams was. Okay, he
And
was
you know,
open.
and you know the sad thing about that was I text y'all like, kick the field goal, kick the field
Yeah,
goal,
you
kick
did.
the field goal, kick the field goal, because the bottom line is you you're down, but you're not out. You're down, but you're not out. If you can kick the field goal, it changes the momentum of the game. It changes the momentum of the game. And we're, I don't know if this is going to be a question later, but I think Nagy was calling some plays today.
I
Oh, for
think Nagy
sure.
called
Oh,
all the
for
plays.
sure.
I don't think he was trying to win.
They didn't show laser at all. He wasn't calling nothing.
That wasn't because Montgomery, where was Montgomery at? Where was Montgomery at all of a sudden?
Who?
On that first,
Where's Montgomery? Where is Montgomery in the play calling?
Okay,
With-
let's
with the run
back
game.
up a little bit, okay? We went from having 5 games in a row where the Bears scored over 30 points. Then the last 2 games, all of a sudden, they started sucking again.
We
What do you
can't
think was the
score
common
no points.
denominator?
Nagy.
Nagy.
It's called Coach Nagy. It's called Coach Nagy.
His
Guys,
ego would not let him stay out of it. Like, he sucks. Like, I can't stand him. There were 3 good things about the Bears losing today, in my opinion, and they better happen. Number 1, well, it's gonna happen. This miserable season is over, and I don't have to endure anymore. Number 2, Nagy and Pace better be gone. And Pagano should probably be gone, even though he has a respectable career and I admire his fight against cancer and everything. Maybe it's not all him, but Nagy and Pace should be gone. And the third,
We ain't got no sympathy for that. We ain't got no sympathy for that.
Dang, Jay?
We ain't got no sympathy for
the third thing about them losing today is that I do not have to endure them ruining my trip next week.
that. We ain't got no sympathy for. We ain't got no sympathy for the cancer thing. We ain't got no sympathy for that. I'm sorry.
I have
We
sympathy
ain't got
for
no sympathy
cancer,
for that.
bro. Dang.
No,
He
no,
has
we ain't got no
a
sympathy for that.
respectable career.
We ain't got no
Like,
sympathy for that.
like I read
Dang it.
about it. He has a respectable career. He did some good
Wait,
stuff. He just ain't
wait.
doing nothing for us
Hey.
right now.
Jay, were you in
I'm
DC
just-
this week?
Climbing up
I'm
the
just
thing.
saying. I'm
You
just
know.
saying. We ain't got no sympathy for that.
Okay.
We ain't got no sympathy for that. Because it's all about winning ball games. It's all about winning ball games.
That is true.
hey, but
It's all about
let's
winning
go
ball
to
games.
angle here. You know what? Here's my deal. We talk about playmakers and all that stuff. When I last checked, you got a number on your front and your back, your name's on the back, and you represent the team in the NFL. That means your ass is good enough to play in the league. Okay, with that being said, I don't care if you're the 37,000th receiver. If you're in the NFL, you're supposed to make that, number one. Number two, if you're going to go out here goon style in the last game and punch the dude in the face with your chest out, that means you want to smoke. If you want to show somebody you want to smoke, catch the damn ball. And the worst part about Williams of dropping that ball and him pouring off that day, he punched the dude that didn't even punch him. It's because his
That's what I said. I said the same thing. If you're gonna get kicked out, lay him out.
you gonna get hit. And obviously at that time he was smart enough not to retaliate. You retaliated for him. What did you do? You gave him a sip of your Kool-Aid. I ain't gonna say no names, Anthony Miller, and you y'all both went for the oak doke. But like I said, y'all got on the NFL jersey playing the game. There's no excuse for you not to make plays. That's just me.
Yeah, there's some excuses because if you go back and you look, I just before we came on, I did a little research. I'm a research grounded guy. Dude, we are cutting deals and picking up garbage. You look at these people's salary. Somebody's salary is like 184,000. You
Yeah,
you that's you got a guy for 184,000 playing against millionaires. He ain't
that's
supposed to be there, you
that's
know.
the
And so we put the faith of our season throwing the ball to a 7th round draft pick. That's all I'm
A
gonna say.
7 round draft pick.
That's
Yep,
all I'm
yep,
gonna say.
yep,
A 7th
yep,
round draft pick,
yep.
224th pick in the draft.
Hey,
That's
his
what we
Yep.
talking
brother's
about.
real
But if
good
y'all,
though.
No,
but
he
if
from
y'all
He
go,
his
95th
brother.
and Stony Island. That's
hey,
what happened. He from over
Hey,
there.
Mike,
But
what,
Mike,
what,
you play
hey, but if y'all
football
go
too,
back,
so something
but if
goes
y'all
wrong
go
with
back,
your body and your brain too.
Oh, whatever.
but if y'all go back and look at that ball hit him, that ball hit him,
In a
that
bad
ball hit
spot.
him, and no, that ball hit him in the bread basket. How do
That's a
you,
bad spot.
how
He
do
went back to
you
the
not
huddle and said,
catch that
he said,
pass?
why you throw that ball like that? He probably
How do you not catch that pass? That ball hit you in the bread basket. How do
In
you
the
not
end
catch
zone.
the pass
Right.
in the
he's
end
better.
zone?
He's better at hitting
In the
people
end
in the
zone.
helmet. That's what I'm telling you. He's better at stealing on people
In the
than
end
catching
zone.
passes.
Hey, the guy
Go
that hit
ahead,
him was
Dougie.
6'5". The guy that he hit was 5'4". What does that tell you?
see, hey, Mike, what happened in an example you just stated is the Chicago Bears put all their money on the defense the last 2 seasons.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
what they did was they put so much money on the defense because they felt like, hey, if we got a good defense, we just need a caretaker back there, quarterback, and also on offense. So what
Yeah.
you saw this year was a product of just thinking, oh, we just play everybody on defense, and we just put anybody on offense, and we should be able to win games. No, because now Miller was one of the biggest disappointment on his offense,
He was.
and
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, we
right,
talked about
and
him earlier
yeah,
in
and
the year.
he ended the season disappointed by getting thrown out of a game for punching somebody, and it's the same guy that baited your guy last time. I mean, how dumb can it be? So the
But
Bears also the Bears did figure something out though this year. The offensive line improved as the season went on. I mean, it was horrible, but today it wasn't because Mitch was not getting sacked. I think he got sacked like once or twice. He was under a little pressure, but that's because you didn't have no playmakers out there either.
What
So you
was the running
got to be able
game?
to make the
Where
play.
where 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 was the running game today?
Yeah,
jet tweet. Jet tweet. Oh, I'm
After
sorry.
after the last few weeks, where was the running game today? Where was the running game? And y'all didn't do it. Y'all didn't call no running plays. Where is the running game? Where's the running game that got y'all to where's the running game that got y'all to the playoffs?
Good point.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And again, I
You
want
do
to
know.
digress. I want to digress. I don't know. I
You
don't
do
know.
know.
And I
Bernard, you
swear,
want to know what
and I
happened?
swear,
One
I'm
word.
digressing. I'm digressing because I don't have nothing to say because I'm so disappointed because I actually thought that the Bears would actually be able to be in this game. And when you look at the score, it wasn't even. That's not even.
Ain't close.
It's not even predictive of what the game was.
Right.
This was a 7-3 game at halftime,
And it
and
should have been 28-3 with 1 minute left.
y'all let this go where it went. So
Mm.
I digress. I'm not gonna say nothing else.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
No,
Uh-oh.
I'm good. No, I'm good. No, I'm good. They gonna send me my email and tell me I need to pay for my season tickets and all that in the next couple of months. But I digress. I'm done. I'm so done with the Bears this year. I'm done. I'm done.
Hey Tammy, what you was about to say, Tammy?
Just when you say what happened, Nagy happened. It's time for him to go. I actually had a good view of Nagy when they recruited him. I thought he was going to be good for the Bears, and he just didn't go.
Yeah. Hey, I'd like to thank everybody who's watching us tonight on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch TV.
Thank y'all.
Unfortunately, the people on Facebook, I cannot see your comments tonight. I'm not sure what's going on the broadcast because I see quite a few people are actually. What's that?
Ain't nobody got no comments.
Oh, they probably just pissed.
They probably
Hey, but
cussing.
you know what?
They boycotting us.
Yeah, hey, as much as Jay said this year, the season ended with the offense being abysmal. Yeah, like I'm doing a little short recap, but anyway, the Bears were down in this game 3-7 at halftime. The Bears possessed the ball 21 minutes and 2 seconds. The Saints possessed the ball 38 minutes and 58 seconds.
Oh.
The Bears had it's unbelievable. Other than the Bears had 11 first downs.
Oh, they caught up.
The Saints had 27 first downs.
0 of 13 on third down conversions.
They got one, which is
That was the last play.
Oh, did it?
They got one third down
That was a
conversion.
garbage time. That was a garbage time. That was a
No,
garbage time.
Trubisky ran for 7 yards. That was the longest run of the day.
That's long
Yeah.
enough. And the Saints were 11 of 17 on third down today.
That's not an efficient defense. Right.
Yeah, those stats are ridiculous. And I remember early on in the season, let's go to the defense, because there's no reason to say how Mitch did. We know how Mitch did. But I do have a question down there. But Tammy made this point earlier this year on one of the broadcasts about how the Bears players stand there and wait on tackles. That was in full view today, and Plank kind of mentioned it today. I mean, that's football 1-on-1. That we have football 1-on-1. You do not stand there flat-footed and wait on the tackle. Matter of fact, early in the game, one of the players, I think I want to say it was Fuller, he got juked because he just stood there and waited on the tackle. I mean, that's bad fundamentals. You go and get that tackle. You just standing there flat-footed and let them run to you. And I've seen that too much in this game. I've seen that a lot this season, especially from the secondary. The secondary has been awful at doing that. So when the Bears start looking at this whole, what was that? Jay?
No, I was just saying, and I think Keith made that statement. Like, what is Eddie Jackson doing? Business decision. This dude making business decision. This dude don't tackle nobody. He is not making no tackles. He's not making no tackles. And I can't understand how if the defense is supposed to be the strength of your the strength of your team. Y'all not making no tackles. Y'all not making no tackles.
But you got to,
and it's bad.
but you got
It's bad.
They're going to kick Eddie Jackson out of the Jackson 5 if he keep playing like that.
Hey, so hey, you gotta understand, man. Eddie got that call from Tito, man. They gonna do their reunion tour. His mind was somewhere. Straight up. That's all. But you know what? Something I saw about the tackling really messed me up. You remember, you ever watch some old karate movies when you went to Oriental Theater, where it's this one real bad dude, he got to fight like 87 dudes, and the one that stand up? You really, most people look at the guy as fighting. I look at people around there in the background like they ready to jump in and do some dump. That's what the players were doing. It was like, guy would come and the guy like, you got him? No, you got him? No, you got him. Somebody better get him. And I'm like, they did this on so many occasions. I'm like looking around to see if I'm going to get a boom mic or something. Some people have one of them things like karate movies like, you killed my brother.
These guys are out here. These guys are out here making business decisions, and it's bad. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's
So
bad.
hey,
But
let's talk about this because it's not much in this game. What do the Bears do with Mitch as far as do the Bears offer him a contract?
Mitch is getting franchised, man.
If you franchise him, that's too much. How much is the franchise?
Would you do that with an AR? I would franchise him.
you got to franchise Mitch because you don't have another quarterback that's here right now, and you don't
Got
know.
Foles.
Man, please, dude. I don't. This is a kid-friendly show. You almost made me say something. Uh, I was like, no. You got to franchise Mitch because get my church voice back together. You got to franchise Mitch because right now you don't have anything else. And you can't afford to just let him walk out the door with free agency and not get anything for him in the end.
Right.
Absolutely.
Until you can figure out what
Absolutely.
the bad part about this whole thing was that the Bears made the playoffs because Nagy's not getting fired. He made the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 years.
And they're
not going anywhere. So
they scored 3
tomorrow,
points.
huh?
You made
They
it to
scored
the
3
playoffs
points.
and you did nothing. So,
But what I'm
They
saying
scored 3
is
points.
tomorrow, we're talking about the Bears organization. Tomorrow when they meet, they're going to meet and say, we're only about 2 players away. When in actuality, they're about 7 to 9 players away. They're not going to be real with the situation in front of them. They're going to be like, we just need maybe just a slot receiver and we're good. The Bears have not been honest with themselves and their franchise for 30 years. It's not going to get better.
Thank you, D.
But you know what?
Davis.
But you know what, Mike? But you know what, Mike? I agree with you on that point. And I think the Bears, unfortunately, need to franchise a Mitch Trubisky. I don't know what that money look like. I know it's in the upper 20s.
Upper 20s.
But at the same time, what you gonna do with Allen Robinson? I'm more concerned about Allen Robinson than I am than I am Mr. Trubisky. What you gonna do with Allen Robinson? This dude has given you nothing but franchise catches. This dude has been on the money. What are y'all gonna do with him? That's what I want. That's what I want. I didn't even think about the quarterback because the bottom line is
you gotta think about the quarterback.
For 3 years,
you're right, Jimmy. If you don't franchise Mitch, then you're stuck with Nick Foles next year, and Allen Robinson is gonna leave anyway because he don't want to play with Nick Foles.
You know what? I disagree. I think if you can't get a contract done with Allen Robinson, you got to franchise Allen Robinson. You cannot franchise Mitch at $20 million. The salary cap goes down by $20 million next year. You franchise him at $20 million, and the salary cap goes down by 20.
You're right.
You know what? Your team maybe it needs to suck next year.
You're right.
But at the same time,
you're gonna sign Mitch to win what? You're gonna sign Mitch just to win 6 games or 5 games?
Let's get hypey. Let's get that guy from Washington.
Yeah,
he looks like
who's going to be a quarterback?
You better off winning 3 games next year and suck.
You're right.
You better off winning 3 games and suck than to pay a quarterback $20 million who's serviceable.
Well, if you franchise him,
you're gonna win 7 games and be in draft hell. I mean, that does. I don't agree with that. You're gonna be in draft hell.
But no, you're right. If you franchise him, you're talking about almost $30 million that you allocating to Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah,
for your team.
There's a difference. You can find a receiver. Right now, there aren't any veteran quarterbacks, and you don't have any draft stock right now. You can find another receiver, just like we found Allen Robinson to get here.
Who's going to be your quarterback?
If you don't franchise him, Nick Foles will be your quarterback.
Yeah, and then you have almost $50 million next year tied up in quarterbacks. I think you owe Nick Foles about $20 million next year.
Owe him.
So you're gonna have almost $30 million and $20 million in Foles for 2 guys who, if you add them together, they're not good quarterbacks.
The Bears should go have a quarterback conversation, but we can't hope. We can only hope.
What's that, Tammy?
I said the Bears could go have a quarterback conversation, but we can only hope.
Now you talking about Watson, girl?
Who's going to be your quarterback?
He's
we know that.
Color.
Take that. He took him the first time.
We can only hope. We can only hope. But I mean, I think they probably are going to keep Mitch, but they can't franchise him. I mean, it's not
Correct.
like people are going to be scrambling to get him, so they can give him a contract for a year, but don't franchise him.
Yeah, but he ain't gonna take a contract from a year. He's got all the leverage at this point.
But think about
Yeah.
At this point, you're exactly right, Keith. You're exactly right. He got all the numbers. He got all the leverage like that.
Wait, who
He got
else
all the
knocking
numbers
down
like
his door?
Yeah.
hold on.
Oh, he gets
Will-
the Patriots to take him in a heartbeat.
Hey,
No,
guys up there miming
see.
something. I can't hear
We'll
guy miming
see.
something.
We'll see who's going
sorry.
to allocate contracts to him. But the bottom line is, you can't go into next year not knowing who your quarterback is, and that's sad. It's sad. It's a sad. The Bears are in a sad situation right now. They're in a sad situation right now, and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't
I'm
know
sorry.
what's going to happen. The Bears
Yeah,
are in a sad situation.
Look,
You're
you
right.
know what? This is what I'll say. What I'll say is this: I would not franchise Trubisky. I would franchise Allen Robinson to give him that money. But
Yep.
what I would do, or what you got to look at too, is the problem with the Bears. The Bears, like I said last time, they're always basically going to these doggone contract signs and looking with people with a bag of nickels. You got to open up the vault if you want to win. Number one. Number two, they have to change the culture. There was a montage that I saw in the game where Tony Romo was showing the Bears defense. They was like in a cover 89 or some shit like stuff like that. They was like in a cover 89, and what happened? The receivers found the soft spot, and guess what? Drew Brees put it right there. Now ask yourself a question going into next year. You franchise Mitch Trubisky, put those Foles is on with it's scary, but how many times do you think that Mitch is going to make that play? I mean, if you're serious about winning, you got to start opening the bank. You got to go get another guy to go pay some money and get one of them guys. But if you just want to be okay and you want to gamble like we do, then this is your guy.
What
How much
guy
they
are you
pay
All I
gonna
know-
Eddie
get?
Jackson? How much they pay
All
Eddie
I
Jackson?
know, all I know
They
is
free up some money.
Allen Robinson.
Too
All
much.
I know
Free up
is
some money
Allen
with it.
Robinson. Allen Robinson is the number one receiver. He's the number
Clearly,
one receiver.
he's the number one receiver here. He's the number 25th receiver in the league.
Are you gonna get to replace him?
I don't. Well,
No,
Allen-
no.
Allen is
No,
a mid-tier
no.
receiver, man.
Allen Robinson
Mike,
was
come
ranked-
on.
no,
Come on,
he's a
Mike.
baller,
Come
Come
Mike.
on, Mike. He
He's
was
a
Not
baller.
ranked. Allen Robinson
He
was
was-
ranked 9th.
He was the
He was
ninth.
ranked 9th.
He was the
He was
ninth rated receiver in the NFL. Come on,
Yeah,
Mike.
he was
Come
ranked
on,
9th.
Mike.
Old
He's a
quarterback.
This
mid-tier
dude is a
receiver.
number one receiver.
Y'all know
Oh,
Mike is really
I
an
disagree.
undercover
No.
Tom Brady.
I just
I'm not
under
looked
any-
at Allen- I just looked at
I'm
Allen
not under
Robinson.
anybody's
Allen
cover.
Robinson is the number one
I
receiver.
just looked at Allen Robinson ranking on Friday. Allen Robinson was ranked 9th in the NFL.
Ninth in the
9th in the
NFL.
NFL.
Yes.
Allen Robinson had
Yes.
102 catches, over 1,000
He had
yards.
to have
Yards.
100
Old
catches.
quarterback.
No, with two
With
quarterbacks.
no quarterback.
Right,
How
he
do
had
you
to
have-
have 102
how do you-
catches.
How do you
Trubisky
have
throws the ball to him every play.
How do you have 1,000
Accurately.
yards? How do you have 1,000 yards with two quarterbacks that ain't really good?
God.
Allen Robinson is only
Right, Daryl.
the quarterback that throws to him. And dude, I've seen a number of plays, and even in this game where Allen Robinson is like doing a G.I. Joe arm catch, where his arm is like this, almost like if you got Allen Robinson, a quarterback, you talking about 1,000 yards, he has some eye-popping yards because he's doing great. Now, I know you guys talk about rankings and all that other stuff. You take an Allen Robinson, put him with a top-tier quarterback. And I
What is he? 27 years old?
He's
27.
29.
And he is
20, he's 35.
Is he 29?
Nah.
I thought you said 35. I'm like,
All I'm saying is, you can't let a receiver that's got 102 yards
He's
over
right.
1,000 yards walk.
He's
You
right.
can't.
Not in this
You can't.
climate.
Here's my
can't
thing
do what happened to
again.
In this offense, oh no, you can't.
Hey,
Who's
wait,
gonna throw him the ball?
wait, he talking about people's age like crazy. What about your old man Brady?
What about it?
Oh,
Oh,
He 43.
He's 29.
He's
Tell him
the
to retire.
GOAT.
Tell him to retire.
First of all, he's the GOAT. Let's get that straight. He's the GOAT.
I ain't
Go.
gonna
Get
say
up out of his
that. I ain't gonna
behind.
say that, but
He's
okay.
the GOAT. That was
How
his,
No,
about
I
you
ain't
get
gonna
up
say
out of
that,
his
but
that was
behind?
his
okay.
43rd playoff game yesterday.
How
Come on,
about you
guys.
get up out of his behind?
No, I'm just telling you facts. I haven't lied to you yet about him. He was a 6th-round pick, 199th, and he's done more
199.
with less than anybody.
Ooh. We
You
gotta
know,
come
but
with the
I
stats.
know
You're
I'm gonna
really a
move.
Brady fan, not a Bears fan.
He come with the stats.
Hey,
could
but
be
I
both.
want to move off the Mitch question.
Yeah.
But I do want to point out that there's nothing wrong with extending Mitch if you could come to a reasonable contract. But what the Bears cannot do is to get caught up in this Cutler thing. You get caught up in this Cutler thing saying, okay, we're going to re-sign him because we don't have anybody. But your team is not improving. Your team was 8-8 last year. Your team was 8-8 this year. So it's not like your team is improving. You can pat yourself on and say, hey, who finds a coach that made the playoff 2 years out of 3? Guess what? If they hadn't changed the rules, you wouldn't have made it this year. And also you have to look at as well, is that your only goal, just to get to the playoff? I mean, that's not your goal. Your goal is to win a Super Bowl. And if your
Get to
team
the
is not,
playoffs and lose.
yeah. So sometimes I notice it happen in big markets. It happened in big markets like Chicago, New York. The fans do not want to see the team rebuild. The fans think you could just keep plugging people in and fix it. So what if you don't have a quarterback? Your team probably stink anyway next year. So if you don't have a quarterback, maybe you stink again enough that you don't screw up your pick for quarterback in the next draft after that. Maybe you be smart enough to actually pick the top quarterback versus picking the guy that should have been a 3rd round. There's no slight to Mitch. Mitch probably is a nice guy. I say this over and over. Mitch should have been a 3rd round quarterback. He was not good enough to be a 1st round quarterback.
Brady was 6th round.
He needed to
6th
sit.
round. 199th pick.
Yeah, but he was not a 2nd pick in a round.
That was 4th round.
Better than him, you know. But anyway, hey, what do the Bears need to do as far as coaching? We kind of wrapping up the show. What did the Bears? Any suggestions, ideas as far as coaching, general manager?
Fire Pace.
I just think
Fire Nagy, fire Pace, fire Pagano. Call up Vic, call him up.
You want
listen to Terry. Listen to Terry. Terry said fire.
Samurai Mike.
Terry said fire.
Iron Mike, right? Okay.
Terry said fire.
There's a saying where it says it can always get worse.
We can't let you be supervisor. You'll fire the whole squad.
Sometimes you got to clean house. Pace should have been gone after Cutler, but Pace should have been gone.
I think that I think that to bring Nagy back.
Boo. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jay. I couldn't help it, man.
The only way
you know what? I don't want to fire Nagy or Pace. I don't want to fire nobody. But the bottom line is the Bears need to draft a quarterback in this draft. And the sad thing about it is right now we in that whole 18, 19.
Yeah.
Is it 20?
20
Is it 20?
Yeah. We'll be like 20 seconds.
Okay, 20 seconds. So
that's worse.
We really ain't, right. We really ain't got no leeway to drafting the quarterback, but you got to draft the quarterback. I don't want to fire nobody yet. Only, and it's sad. It's so sad that you settle for. It's so sad that you settle for mediocrity. It's so sad that you settle for.
It's been happening for years, though.
And it's been happening
for years.
It's been happening for years. But because of where we at right now, I don't want to fire nobody. I don't want
The
to find him.
only way you keep Nagy is if he agrees to let the offensive coordinator do his job. Other than that, he need to go.
I
He
agree.
ain't never gonna
I
do that
agree.
one.
Then
I
he needs
agree.
to go.
No,
Then he
Not
I
needs to
doing
agree.
go.
that.
that's Pace's
I agree.
boy. He's not. They're not firing Nagy. Nagy. You got to think about this. They fired Lovey at the 10-6
10
season.
and 6 season.
Yep.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
not firing
Super
Nagy.
Bowl coach, right?
But
I
he
mean,
didn't have a complexion for the protection.
well, he was the wrong
There's
color in the
that.
crayon box again. That's the whole thing. Listen. I've been around since Bob Avellini was
Right.
the quarterback.
Right.
I've seen
Right.
this stuff. When
Right.
Ditka first came in, he got rid of my godfather, Bob Fisher, Noah Jackson, all of the guys that have been there. I've seen this stuff firsthand. They got rid of everybody, and they started bringing in Mark Boyds and all those guys. But what happened? The culture of the team flipped because if you talk to Otis Wilson right now, they say, hey, Ditka was a racist and he got rid of all the black players. That's why they was all cool with Buddy Ryan. On the whole other thing though, they're not getting rid of Nagy, man. We're stuck with Nagy for a little while because we keep making the
But you-
playoffs with this trash dude.
But
better
you
than
also have to-
Carolina,
but you
other
also have-
spots.
you also have to look at his record too. He's 28-20. He has a winning record. So
Right.
unfortunately, like you say, they fired Lovey at 10-6.
I'm
But at the
sorry. How
same
many
time-
times did he lose against Green Bay? He got to go.
Say it again.
How many
Tell me.
times did he lose against Green Bay? He got to go.
All of them.
Boom.
Okay.
Boom.
Wait,
He's talking about
not
that.
just Green Bay.
That's
This year
the
we
record I
lost.
care about.
We lost to every team in the division. Let that sink in. We lost to all three of them.
Keith,
Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit.
Keith. This year,
What?
I'm gonna tell you something.
Okay.
If you look back at the record,
Mhm.
Nagy ain't really lost to nobody in the division except
We
Green
lost to every team in the division this year.
Bay. This year.
Minnesota,
This
Detroit.
year.
As a matter of fact, we
This
should have
year.
lost to Detroit twice.
This year.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you look at the divisional record with Nagy, he has not lost to anybody but Green Bay.
It's only two
And
other
that's
teams.
enough Browns to go.
What are we talking about?
Enough Browns to go right there.
And I will say this as far as what y'all saying that I do think that the ownership has to take a hard look at Pace
They
for
suck.
sure. You got to look at because you got to look at one of the reasons
It's
you're
not
in this
Pace.
quarterback situation
Philip.
is you got to look at the quarterback situation when it comes to him. One is you sign Glennon and you give Glennon a big contract, which made it look like you was not going to draft anybody. Then this is you even make it even like even scandalous the way you did it. You send Glennon to the draft. Correct? You send him, you pay him this big contract, and you
move
send him
on.
to the draft.
Right?
And then he sit there looking at you, not draft the best quarterback, but the fact you draft the quarterback, and he looking like what? So now you sign Glennon, who can't play. Then you screw up and get a quarterback that probably shouldn't have. You missed on two quarterbacks. Then you turn around next year, and then you sign Chase Daniels.
Your whole thing is like this dude can't play. I
He can't play.
I love your
You know,
family.
but you think about it, he signed Chase Daniels after that. He signs another quarterback that can't play. Then he turns around this year and signs Nick
It's not Nick
Foles.
Foles. He can't play.
This guy has signed
No.
three
Bernard,
quarterbacks.
I love it. I love it. Because the whole thing is like, he can't play. This dude
Hey,
cannot play.
Hey, Jay, if you go back through the Bears' history, they signed a lot of guys that can't play.
They
The only
signed a
one,
lot of
the only
guys
one that
that
was
can't
a
play.
traditional quarterback was Cutler. Everybody else can't play. The rest
I
of them,
almost broke my leg. I almost broke my leg running up the stairs when the Bears traded for Jacob. I almost broke my leg running up the stairs.
That's because you didn't know him yet.
Because my whole thing was like, this dude, we finally got a franchise quarterback. But
really,
but you
that's
know
been the
what?
only one.
Because you didn't
But
know
you
him.
know what? But you know what? The bottom line is this franchise has to look deep. And Bernard, you talked about ownership, but it starts with Ted Phillips. If we can get Ted Phillips out of the way and get a football person, not a financial person, that's what we need.
He ain't spending no money. It ain't like he's that financial. He ain't spending no money.
We need a football person.
You know what? I disagree, Mike. The Bears have played people from the time they started playing Brian Urlacher. The Bears, first of all, they put most of their money on defense traditionally since Brian Urlacher signed.
Always.
Okay.
Always.
This is an offensive league. Like it or not, this is an offensive league. This is not a defensive league.
Yep.
The Bears have spent their money. They don't spend it wisely. It's not that they don't spend money. It's just
they've always spent their money on the defensive side going back to the 80s. Did y'all know that the guy that won the Super Bowl?
That's not being cheap. That's not really
saying. I'm talking about you got to balance
decisions.
You got to balance out the team. You can't put on. Even when we won the Super Bowl, we're known for the '85 Bears defense. Did you know that Jim McMahon was the punter at BYU his freshman and sophomore year? So we still have not really looked. He wasn't that good of a quarterback. I mean, come on. And he won a Super Bowl.
And I'll take him.
But he was saying he wasn't good enough. The defense wasn't letting you score. The defense was scoring points. Anybody could have played
for what we needed.
Well, first thing Dan Marino was get out of 1985.
He passed on Dan Marino.
That's all I'm saying. That ain't gonna work.
Right. So I think sometimes with the Chicago fans, they get confused. They confuse sometimes bad decision with being cheap. The Bears are not cheap. When you look at they was cheap in the 80s.
They spending money.
They was cheap in the 70s. The Bears are spending money now. Look at the salary cap. The Bears are spending money wisely. You got Eddie Jackson. Look at the money Quinn making. It was just a bad signing. Quinn was a bad signing. Eddie Jackson is a bad signing.
Did you see that Floyd is one of the best defensive ends in the NFL now?
Yeah.
So the guy that we had, and we replaced him with Quinn.
And the sad thing about Robert Quinn is they always talk about his quarterback pressures. Yeah, but you ain't sacking the quarterback.
or making a tackle.
He's not making a tackle.
He's not making a tackle.
What you got, guy?
You know what the Bears do? What the Bears do is they spend money, but they spend it inappropriately. It's like going to bust the screen and buying a Bentley, and you buy it for like $1,700 instead of $170,000. You get in the car and they just do this. But you know what? Yeah, spending money appropriately is important. Things, but I think the real problem is the fact that if you look around the league, you ask yourself a question: what is it that young people hate the most about old people? One, they're loyal. Number two, they're set in their ways. Phillips and all them guys, I don't care what you tell them, I don't care what type of numbers you give them. What he's going to say is, well, I've been doing this for a number of years, so obviously it's been working. I don't need your advice. We need to get some people up in there up top that's willing to go out here and get some dogs. And they spending money on this garbage.
Yeah, bust the screen, garbage.
Man, I'm starting to get worried about y'all. Y'all don't like people that are loyal. Jay don't like cancer survivors.
Hey.
What kind of guys am I hanging out with?
Hating on me.
Now that the season is over, we need to reevaluate everything. Offensive line, defensive line, our secondary.
What secondary?
Eddie Jackson really, we just make you the highest paid safety in the NFL.
Bust the screen.
Money.
Well, his contract is up.
Right.
Huh?
His contract is up, so
Bust the Screen contract was up before it got
I
started.
ain't even really tripping on Bust the Screen.
But hey, did you know Bust the Screen was 31 years old? trying to run around with these young dudes in the slot. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
But
Not well. Not
Yeah.
well.
that's why he's behind everybody. Everybody ain't
Yeah.
the same, man. He's slow.
But
He
Yeah.
wasn't that
we
good
need
before.
to. We need to. Now that the off season is here, because it is the off season, the Bears lost. It's over. It's over. So now we
Fire
need to
everybody, like Tammy
reevaluate.
said.
We need
Yep.
to reevaluate everything with the Bears right now. We need to reevaluate. Who's going to be our quarterback next year? We don't know.
You?
Me.
We
Yeah.
don't.
One of y'all.
I know, right? I know, right? I'm going to start training. I'm actually going to start training today.
I'm going to tell you this. When we talked about
Because
Allen Robinson,
me and Allen Robinson can be a duo.
let me
we
tell you,
can do a duo.
this how dumb the Bears are. Mooney just played Allen Robinson up out of here. That's
Yep.
how dumb the Bears are.
Yes, he did.
That's
Yes,
all
he
I'm
did.
telling you. So that's
And
why I
that's
said
sad.
they're going to
And that's
franchise
sad.
Mitch and let
And
Allen
that's sad.
Robinson go.
And that's
Terrible
sad.
plan.
That's what
That's
I'm
a
telling you.
terrible
And
plan.
that
Mooney
is so
wasn't even
sad.
starting.
AR
Mooney
is
was
the
not
number
starting.
one receiver. If you put Mooney as the number
I'm-
one receiver, that's gonna change.
I'm just telling you the history of this franchise. I'm
Yeah.
just
And
telling
the
you
sad
the
thing
history.
about that, as much as I love Mooney, he's not the number one receiver.
He's
He's
not.
not the
I'm
number one
just
receiver.
telling you the history
He's
of
not
the
the-
franchise.
So Mike, your argument is confusing because in one sense you're saying they cheap, then now you're saying they should go pay. They're gonna pay somebody $20 million. Two guys $20 million that probably shouldn't be started. I mean
Yeah,
that
but-
argument's
He ain't
confusing.
paying
That.
attention to what he's talking
You
about.
could
He
let
just-
Foles go for $20 million.
Okay, if you let you got to look at the salary, the dead cap hit, letting Foles
Right.
go. You got to trade Foles. If not, you're gonna be. I think.
Listen,
And don't nobody want to take him.
Yeah, I
They
think the
will
dead
get
cap hit is
Foles
what
gone.
about what 18 million? Do you know, Jay? For Foles,
Say it again. Say it
what is
again.
the dead cap hit for Foles if the Bears just cut him?
17.5.
Oh,
Okay, so you're gonna
17.5.
cut. You're gonna
we
cut
gonna
him
pay
for
him not to
17.5
play.
franchise
17
somebody.
million.
17.5.
Wait. We talking about the same franchise that fired Lovey and paid him $5 million a year.
That's
not to go.
irrelevant. Lovely is
That's it.
gone. That's.
They
I'm
still
saying
paid
the
him $5
argument is
million.
confusing. You can't say a team is cheap and then you're telling them to take a $17 million hit, and then at the same time franchising the guy for over $20 million. So that means you on the hook for $37 million just for quarterbacks, but the salary cap going down by $20 million. Mathematically, that doesn't make sense. So mathematically,
What
they
have the
trade
Bears
Foles
done that made
on
sense?
your team.
I
What have
just
they
know.
done that made sense in the past
I
20 years?
just know. If you let Allen Robinson walk, it's going to be a stain on this franchise.
Yeah.
I've been watching the Bears for years. I've been going to Bears games since I was 15 years old.
Okay.
If
Did they let you play?
Allen Robinson walk, huh?
Did they
If
let
you
you
let
play?
Allen, no, they let
Hey,
me play.
hey, Jay.
They let me play.
Hey.
But if you let Allen Robinson walk,
Uh-huh.
You right.
if you let Allen Robinson walk, it's gonna be a stain on
They
this franchise.
have
And I'm gonna tell y'all something. I have been a loyal backer for the Bears, but I'm gonna tell y'all something. If y'all let Allen Robinson walk, I'm gonna be really, really upset.
Hey Jay, what happened to Marty
I'm
Booker?
gonna be upset.
What happened to Marty Booker?
He started
I mean,
eating
What
too
happened to,
much.
what happened to
and got
Muhammad?
slow.
Muhammad? What happened to Muhammad? What happened to Muhammad?
He
Muhammad
couldn't
Muhammad.
catch no more.
What happened to them?
I just told you.
No, Muhammad.
What I'm
What
hating
happened?
about the league.
Muhammad was Muhammad was
let
on
him
his
go.
downside. Muhammad was on his downside. He was on the downside of his
He
career.
was.
I'm
when he
just
came
saying
here.
they let him go.
So-
Yeah,
so-
no, hold
so-
on. I mean,
Rightly
let's
so.
say he confused you too.
He was
Because
on the downside of his career.
Musa Muhammad argument was this is where the Bears, where receivers come to die their career. That did not happen to Allen Robinson.
That
Allen
happened to
Robinson
Allen Robinson.
actually
That happened to
excelled
Allen
even
Robinson.
more.
That
Yeah,
happened
Marty
to Allen
Booker
Robinson.
has never. Muhammad didn't have
Marty
a
Booker- Marty Booker was a good receiver, but he ain't no Allen
But
Robinson.
he ate
And I'm
like
gonna
a
tell you something.
lineman.
Hey, look,
That
I'm
was
gonna
his
tell y'all
problem.
something.
who did
I'ma
Allen
tell y'all
Robinson
something.
take? Who did Allen Robinson place? Who did he take?
See,
Huh?
the argument is a little,
Who placed
is a
he
little
take?
odd. If it was easy to find a receiver,
Jets.
then you wouldn't. The last time the Bears had a 100-yard receiver would not have been Marty Booker.
It was
Marty
a
Book hasn't been
1,000
in the
yard
Bears
receiver.
Yeah,
game in
you're
about
right.
A thousand, a
what
1,000 yard receiver 2 years back to back.
Before
I'm
that,
gonna
it
tell
was
y'all something.
Alshon Robinson. I mean, Alshon Jefferson.
Alshon
And
Jefferson.
they left Alshon and
Alshon didn't want to be here. Alshon
no,
wanted
it
to
was they had two
And
good
Alshon,
receivers.
Alshon was hurt every year. Even
He
when he got
was.
to
Alshon
the
was
Eagles,
soft
he was
though.
hurt.
Right,
After
right.
a
He was
while,
soft.
yeah.
You cannot compare. You cannot compare Allen Robinson to Alshon Jefferson.
Alshon Jefferson.
I'm not comparing them to Alshon.
You can't.
I'm
You
talking
can't.
about Brandon.
Allen Robinson. I'm gonna
Brandon.
tell y'all something. Allen Robinson is a stud. And
Yeah,
if
he is.
you let him walk away from here, it's going to be a sad day in Chicago Bear history. And I'm going to tell y'all, I will be really, really mad. I will almost like kind of boycott if y'all let Allen Robinson walk away from this franchise.
Pay that man his money. Pay that man his money.
Pay that
We've
man
been
his
saying
money.
it all year.
Pay
Pay
that
that
man
man.
his money.
Brandon.
Pay that man his
All I'm
money.
gonna say, Brandon.
Brandon was
Brandon
was
never
totally
made the
ill.
playoff his entire year. What did that
So
tell you?
like Brandon
Marshall.
Marshall
As
never made the playoff his whole career.
That's the
And I
team.
love,
No, that's
and I
him.
love,
His
Brandon
whole
Marshall
Who was
terrible.
his
never
quarterback?
made the
Cutler.
playoff.
Cutler was his quarterback.
No,
He
Brandon
never made
and
the
I
Marshall
playoff.
love,
always cared about Brandon Marshall.
They made the playoffs in
and I
Denver.
love,
They made the playoffs in Denver. Go ahead.
and I love, and I love the
No,
Brandon
they
Marshall.
didn't.
They
I
did
love
not.
the Brandon
They
Marshall.
did not.
But
He
but
never
at the same
he
time,
never played in the
Brandon
know
playoffs.
Allen
Marshall's career said
He
he
know Allen
never
Robinson.
made the playoff his
Right.
whole
He know
career.
Allen Robinson.
Brandon even mentioned that on the broadcast
Yep.
that he never made the playoff his whole
I thought they
career.
made the playoffs before they came here.
No,
He's
he
no
never
Allen
made the
Robinson.
They did not.
playoffs.
Cutler.
He always
didn't make
He's
led in
no Allen
catches,
Robinson.
but he never made the playoffs
He
because
never
he
made the
always played
playoff.
for himself.
Hey, just so y'all
Brandon
know,
Marshall.
Allen Robinson
Brandon
is out of here.
Marshall. Brandon Marshall was no Allen Robinson.
No,
That's all I'm gonna say.
Agreed.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. But
Hey,
anyway,
that's
hey,
all
we'd
I'm
like to thank everybody for watching Bears Banter this season. We actually going to have an extended broadcast for the playoff next week, even though the Bears are out of it. And also,
Yeah, we so done.
we got some interviews that we may be having coming up with a couple of Bears players. So hopefully we're able to get those Bears players. Let's keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. So everybody, peace.